Welcome, team, to episode 21 of the Keep Going podcast, Athletes Shining a Light on Mental Health. This is Luke Wheat out of Maryville, Tennessee today, here with my co-host, Pat O'Malley. What's going on, Pat?
Out here in Roscoe, Illinois, is blessed as it gets. Another Sunday, another great guest coming on. Luke, how's the weekend been?
It's been good, man. Been hanging out with Brody and Petey. Shout out to those dudes. Big part of my support group, so it's been awesome to chop it up with those boys this weekend.
No, great people, great Brody, love that guy, and then obviously Jake Petey, who we've mentioned multiple times. But Luke, appreciate it, man. Obviously another fired up episode day, but got to shout out last week's episode. Zach Jones bringing the juice, man. How'd you feel about last week?
No, 100%. I think it's fun for us to showcase people that are at the highest level in their sport, still focused on the little things and on the big picture of mental health. I think it shows a lot of our message of like human over athlete. I think that's a really big point for us, and I think that's what that shows.
No doubt. And I think it's kind of a point to make here that we can bring on pro guys every other week, right? But it's about the message. We want the small town kid. We want the D3. We want a mixed bag, because everything in this mental health world and the world of sports is not cookie cutter. I think that's a great message. And Zach Jones, man, like we touched on last week, from the lowest of the low to the highest of the high, he's making us proud every day now. So super excited for him and his future in this game. Luke, I do have to shout out our social media platform at the KG Podcast on Instagram. Zach Jones's network was unbelievable. We got Petar Arbov coming on today. His network has been unbelievable. And then we also are growing our Twitter follower. We have the blog going, and we have the website. So, Luke, anything going on with the blog?
No, we're running on full cylinders, man. Excited to get y'all another piece out this week on one of the past podcasts. I'm kind of picking and choosing on which ones I want to write about first, and it's always a little bit of a toss-up because we had so many good guests so far.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. And, Luke, thanks for all you do with the blog stuff. You definitely have a bright future in that, no matter what you decide to do, man. Proud of you.
Dude, I'll tell you this. We almost lost the whole format of the website the other day. Maybe the most stressed out I've been in the last year. So that was a good thing to button up and get done and reworked.
Hey, just keep going, baby. Hey, you got through
right.
it. You head to it. Took some time. All good, man. And just a reminder, we're not specialists, Luke.
That's right. We're not psychologists. We're not psychiatrists. Just a couple ex-athletes trying to end the stigma around mental health. Make it more of an open conversation for people.
Couldn't agree more, man. Couldn't agree more. And that will take us nicely into our mental health segment. What worked for you this week? So, Luke, how did it go this week? What did you do this week for your mental health?
Well, Pat, me and you were talking. We were texting back and forth, and I've been struggling. So I think what I tried to do near the end of the week, because Monday through Wednesday, and I'll just be honest with you guys, like I had a crap week Wednesday, and I was really struggling with just my purpose. I think was my big struggle this week. What was my purpose in the world? What am I put on the earth to do? I think one thing that's super important for me is to try and impact other people in a positive way. So one thing I did was try to call some people that I don't normally call and get on the phone with them for like 5 minutes. And honestly, man, trying to help out other people made me feel better this week. So that was something I did.
Well, Luke, like I said, man, we've been talking all week. You got a friend in me, and I tell my friends and family, and I tell myself a lot of the times to lean on that support group. It's so powerful. And Jay Glazer talks about it on the Unbreakable pod all the time, where his service leadership gets him out of the gray. And what he means by that is when he serves not only himself, but others, he starts to find that light and why he's so valuable to what we do on earth here. And it's day to day. Like we talked about all the time, mental health is not cookie cutter. Understanding that's going to take different things and different people at different times. Luke, it's powerful stuff, man. Thanks for sharing your vulnerability.
No, 100%, man. Pat, what did you get into this week?
Yeah, I think the big thing for me, being in a new environment is trying to see what's going on out here in Roscoe.
What's the vibe? Yeah,
It's a little bit different. So let's go with my mental health. What works for me would be a new change of scenery. I think getting used to my new gym, getting used to how the sun comes into my office, getting used to the sky in the morning, being out here and compared to Chicago. It's a little bit differently, but accepting how great it is out here, finding the good, finding the bad, and putting it into my routine, putting it in my daily life has been huge. So I think a change of scenery has been huge for my mental health and a lot of good things out here for me. That's for sure.
Dude, that's awesome. Getting used to a new place it's not easy. You gotta maybe find a new support group in your local area. You've got to find new friends, new work schedules, right? So it's tough putting it all together, but I know you're making the best out of it.
No, man, every day is a blessing, man. Everything's good. I'm not complaining about good things by any means. But without further ado, we got my man coming on, Petar Arbov. Petey, what's going on, man?
Oh gosh, I can't start the video. Come on.
I can start it out for you. Hold on, my man.
Oh wait, it says you gotta start it.
I can start it for you, my man. No worries. We got to see your beautiful face on here.
All right, there it is.
Yeah, look at
CrossFit
this
jawline. There it is.
What's up?
What's up, guys?
How's
it
the
going?
day?
Dream. It's nice to meet you, Peter.
Nice to meet you too, Luke. Good to see you,
Awesome,
Pat.
awesome, man. Well, what'd you do this week for your mental health, my man?
Dude, I get shit done. That's what it helps me. So recently we purchased a new house. So for the past 2 weeks,
Congratulations.
thanks, guys. It's been moving and painting and putting flooring down and then everything else that you still have to, keep up with. And honestly, for me, it's like just need to get things done. Just being active and whatever needs to be done, you just get it done.
I love that, man. And I'm going to unpack this here. Go ahead, Luke.
No, go ahead. You got it.
I'm going to unpack it a little bit. So are you a checklist guy? Are you a kind of just remember everything and get as much done as possible? How do you get through your daily task and weekly tasks?
So honestly, in the past week, I really found out this about myself is that I don't like clutter. I don't like anything just being disorganized or messy. So for me, it's like if I see something that kind of clutters a room or a space, it clutters my mind. So it's like I just need to go and organize it, move it away, just make it, organized. Then my mind just kind of gets organized on its own. It's crazy. I don't know why.
Yeah, Luke, go ahead.
I like that. And coming from CrossFit background myself, I was part of a CrossFit community for a while. It's tough. The schedule doesn't really work out for me in school, but get things done, the motto of CrossFit. So I can kind of see that with your background and your work as well. But dude, I clean my room like once a week, and I've actually been thinking of moving it up to doing like a bi-weekly Sunday, Wednesday thing because I've been feeling the same way, Peter. That's funny.
Yeah. I don't know. There's something about just clutter in your life in general, clutters your mind, and being organized and just, getting things done. That just organizes my mind like nothing else.
No, I love that, man. There's definitely two things to go with that. The physical can lead to the mental, the spiritual, emotional, things like that.
100%.
Awesome. Well, we're super excited to have you here. Thanks for taking time out of your Sunday. Pete, tell me this, man. We say it every week. We've had hundreds of people reach out to jump on this pod. I reached out to you because you've been one of my guys. Your journey is so amazing. I can't wait to share it for our listeners. Tell our listeners why you're here, how we got connected. Walk them through how we got to this point.
When you asked me to get on the podcast, I knew that was going to be at least one of the questions you ask. And then I started thinking about this whole journey, and it's, absolutely crazy. Going back, it's absolutely crazy. So it's going to be about 11 years ago. Basically, so originally I'm from Bulgaria in Europe. How it all started is that I wanted to play baseball, and my parents were, just amazing people, and they tried to figure out how I can play baseball past, high school in Europe, because baseball is not such a huge sport in Bulgaria, right?
Yeah.
So we have friends in Chicagoland area, and one time, like I signed up for some recruiting website. I got an invite for some showcase in Alabama, which is just another fucking showcase for a money grab, you know, like, but in Europe, you don't know. So you're like, holy crap, like, that's a big deal. So my dad was like, do you want to go? And I was like, what? Are you serious? Like go to the States to go to a showcase? Like, I was like,
Yeah,
what,
it's a big shot there.
like, what the hell? Like, that's crazy. And they're like, yeah, let's do it. Let's do like a week and a half, 2 week trip. We'll go to Chicago, go down to Alabama for the showcase, come back and just, you know, roam around and so you can see. And I was like, whoa, that's nuts. So our friends, they were in Elk Grove Village. So we stayed with them after I went to that showcase. And then they were like, hey, do you want to come see the high school, which is Elk Grove High School? And I was like, yeah, what? Yeah, for sure. So we went there, we saw it, and then somehow I was able to speak to Coach Bana, which he was our high school
Shout
coach.
out Terry Bana. Got to shout out Terry.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, this
Shout the
man,
dude out.
my life. So we were trying to figure out logistically how would that work, right? And there's even a longer story that I can tell with all the immigration papers and all the stuff they had to figure out. And at that time I was like 15 or 16 years old. So we went back to Europe, and then we just kind of decided like, all right, let's make this happen. So that's when this whole thing changed. So I'm gonna summarize this part because it's very long, but ended up going to Elk Grove High School, and uh, from the get-go, I wanted to join the baseball team, and they were just starting, you know, their preseason. And that's when I first met Pat and Adam and all the other guys that, you know, out of the gate, I had about, you know, 30 people that are new in a brand new country, in a huge high school, in a huge program. And I was like, well, this is crazy. Like, honestly, that part of my life is just a huge blur now, just because there's so many things that happen that, you know, super fast. So fast forward, then just played in a random fall ball tournament with, you know, some travel team, and ended up getting noticed by Concordia and University of Chicago, and they wanted me to play there. So I was like, I'm gonna go wherever I can play baseball because that's what I came for, right? So end up deciding to go there, so at that time my parents were kind of traveling back and forth just to stay with me for a few months. Then I'll be sometimes by myself. I had a summer and a half where I was by myself here, um, but ended up playing for CUC, and then Pat and Adam were playing for Rockford, so we always stayed in touch. By the way, I got this memory today, 6 years ago.
Me too. Me too. I got that today on Facebook.
It's
How
wild.
crazy.
So
Hey.
it's Patrick, Adam, and I. They were playing for Rockford. We were the visiting team, and we took a picture at the stadium, and it just popped up 6 years ago, which is nuts. But anyway,
I got to go ahead. Go ahead.
this whole thing, the fact that I'm here, the fact that I'm living in the States now, I know Patrick and I know Adam and I know, you know, a lot of friends from high school and then college. It's just because just wanted to play some more baseball and see where that goes. So just wild.
No, I love that a bunch, man. And I appreciate you jumping right into it. Couple
For
things
sure.
back here. Like a lot of our guests, Luke, he's super modest. This guy was on the national team in Bulgaria. This was someone that came into Elk Grove High School. And I remember looking at our all-conference third baseman, Mikey Anshula, shout out Chewy, and saying, I'm not going to play this year because this guy's going to take my spot. So it was different. You had a kid that comes in with his talent. And not only that, but being such a high character guy, Pete, you've always been a great guy, man. You came in to a culture shock situation. You made the absolute best of it and made a career for yourself. And I'm proud to call you a friend and obviously a former teammate. Luke, what do you got? You're on mute, Luke. You're on mute.
Cut that back a second because I cut out for a minute there. You said he played national team ball, and this guy's barely talking about his baseball career? Hold on now.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on.
No,
when you guys think of a national team, like you guys think of big countries, like Bulgaria is not that big. One, two, there's not that many like baseball teams. So yes, I did, but it's not that big of a deal in my eyes. So
And
just let
Well,
you know.
Luke, I'll
it's still
talk more.
amazing to compete. Yeah, it's still amazing to compete with for your color and wear your country's colors and represent, right? So one thing I was thinking about as you were telling that story, Peter, as a guy who's lived outside of his home country for an extended period of time.
Yeah.
I lived outside the U.S. for over 6 months. One thing that was super tough for me was missing my support group and missing my family that whole time. What was that experience like, man, being 15 and 16 coming over to the States?
Um, to be honest, like yes, difficult, confusing as well. But I think I have a character trait where I adapt pretty quickly, and I'm okay with understanding what the end goal is, and being okay with sometimes not being totally okay, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
However, I think that whole process would have been way harder if I wasn't in sports. I think that community of sports in general, and just being part of a community, that helps. That for sure helps.
No, I
Um,
love
but
love that.
but for you for sure need thick skin to get through a lot. Like 15, 16 year old, whole different culture, whole different culture, country and language and all that stuff. You need thick skin, and I think part of the person I am now and my character, it's because of that.
Man, that's strong. And you talk
Yeah,
about, we talk about it in baseball all the time, getting off the island, right? You
Yeah.
come
right,
over the States and you have no choice but to play this game at a top level, and no choice but learn the academic curriculum here
yeah,
and put yourself in a position for not only the next 4 years of college, but
for
for the
sure.
next 40 years. I remember when you came over, there wasn't a language barrier. That's not the right words to use, but communicating with ball players in the States, it was different. You were
Yeah,
coachable, you adjusted, you didn't make excuses, which you could have made 1,000 excuses and you didn't. And now I look at you, the man that you are today, and I just smiled, man. I haven't stopped smiling since you got on here. We smiled at your wedding. We'll talk about your lovely wife and how great your families are. Man, that's awesome stuff. Okay, so we get into college, right? We're playing at CUC. You're a two-way guy there on a top 25 program. Man, what a quick 4 year turnaround. Tell me a little bit about your college experience at CUC.
um, man. I mean, honestly, that team was really really good. A lot of talent on that team. Um, the coaching was really good, and I just love the structure for sure. To be honest, Pat, like looking back, and I keep thinking about over and over again, but there's a lot that I left on the table in my college career. I'm not like entirely satisfied with how I did there. Um, One, because that was a tough transition for me, because in high school you can kind of rely on talent and get through, and but as you get through the different levels of competition, like the margin for error gets smaller and smaller, right? And that really caught up. And looking back, my mind, like my efforts were so spread that I should have worked on baseball stuff more. I should have closed the gap on a lot of things. And now having this perspective, like I kind of regret not doing it, because I know I had more to prove as an athlete there, if that makes sense.
It
And
does. It does. Go ahead.
yeah, yeah, and that's kind of like I have like this like void in my experience there, that I was like, dang, like I had more. Like I know I have more. I know that was not my best athletic performance, And I'm not one to make excuses, as you know.
Yep, I do. I already brought it up.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was, you know, it was a big transition, and it was something that I looking back, I could have done better in a lot of aspects of it. But
You know, I got to do some digging here. And
yeah.
what I want to touch on is, one, what do you think you could have done differently? And two, for our athletes coming up, advice for them. You get 4 years to do this. What advice would you give for them physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally?
First, like as a competitor, you're never too good. You know what I mean? Like you're never that good. So one, there's no way around of the quality time you put in as an athlete, meaning like quality practice, practicing your skill. There's no way around it. And earning
I love that.
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Earning coaches' trust, earning people's trust, that you only get so many opportunities. So if you kind of, you know, and that's not to put pressure, but pressure is sometimes good, but it's like you get certain opportunities, and you get certain opportunities to earn people's trust, right? Regardless of sports or not sports. And that trust is so hard to build, but so easy to break. So it's like you first um, impression as an athlete, um, that's gonna kind of stick. So you know, getting to college, your first impression as an athlete to coaches and other people, like you better be spot on and putting your best foot forward and training hard, because you know there's 40 other people on that team. You get past so quickly, and that's why I kind of regret a little more, because I know I could have done more. I know I could have done and practiced more and do more to separate myself from other people, and I didn't.
And
Yeah.
I think that Cam Robinson touched on this aspect really well. Pat, I don't know if you know where I'm going with this, but he talked about spending quality time away from the field. And I think that just improves his output in the field because he can be way more focused when he's on the field. So I think opening up these conversations about mental health just helps you be even more focused and produce more quality work on the field when you take care of your mental.
Yeah,
Luke,
for
you
sure.
knew exactly where I was going with this. And I put a quote in to one of our group chats earlier this week, and is, you will never be fully present until you are proud of your presence. Keep
Yes.
showing.
So let me add something to that, guys, because that's 100% true, and a very relatable. Um, Biggest thing that I regret in my college career is that I wasn't present for my
Wow.
sports performance. And rather you know, that was academics, or you know, it was like even visa issues and immigration stuff that a lot of people don't know that happened, you know, in my personal life. That stuff, like again, going back to like clutters your mind. It doesn't allow you to be present. There's a lot of distractions that don't allow you to be present, right? So being present for what you want to do, and kind of freeing yourself from all other worries, that will allow you to be a really good athlete, in my opinion.
Yo, you got to run this back for me,
Yeah.
boy. That is
That's
some
awesome.
good stuff right there. And it reminds me, and I've always said about Pete, him and my brother, you and Adam have a lot in common in that regard. You guys were the guys that were studs. You were at the top of this game. You went through some big time highs. Adam looks back and he tells me a lot of this was a blur to him. And
Yeah.
it's because he wasn't fully present in the moment. And he didn't celebrate anything. He was so worried about the next thing and everything that was going on in 90 different directions that, gosh, that hits home for me. Just, and I knew we were going to go here, but I didn't know it was going to be that in depth. Fantastic.
No,
Go ahead.
and shout out Adam, man. And shout out anybody that can get on here and say, they didn't take full advantage of their opportunity. That's tough to admit, and that's tough to be vulnerable like that and kind of get that out into the atmosphere. But it's also super cathartic, and it'll help you in your next ventures in life, right? Then the next time you go for something big in your life, you got to be present. Like right now, Peter, I can guarantee I know you're a good CrossFit coach. I know you're there for all your athletes every day because of the experiences you've gone through in the past.
Yes, yes. Made you the man you are today. Yes.
Yeah, and now like my competitive outlet is CrossFit, and my wife and I both
shout them out, Pete. Shout them out, my boy.
Shout those Tri-City Sports, right? Tri-City Performance.
Trident Athletics, yeah. That's kind of like my personal training business. But anyway, now with competing in CrossFit, now I know that everything I do is under my control. How much you put in has a direct outcome, and this is what you put in is what you get, right? And CrossFit is just so like black and white. There's no luck. There's no hoping to do something. You either do it or you don't. And for me now, being present in this and just knowing that I can just give my 100% effort, right? And that's all you can do. That it's been an amazing transition to that sport, and kind of like, I guess CrossFit fills that void for me as a competitor now.
Well, I've been sorry. Go ahead, Pat.
Oh, go ahead, brother. Yeah.
Well, I think being a part of CrossFit community before, like I said, Peter, the support they give their friends there and the community around them is just something that everybody should strive to do in their daily life, in their work life, in their personal life.
For sure.
Right? Do you feel that, Peter, every day when you're working out?
100%. We talk about the competitor side of CrossFit a lot, but on a day-to-day basis, what CrossFit is about is basically group training, but that group is different than any group training, right? CrossFit, as a lot of people know, it's hard. Yeah, it's challenging, but very doable by any person. So when I coach my 130 class, for example, I have athletes who are, 18 to 22 years old. Then I have, dads who are sales people or, big financial firms or doctors. And then I have a few 70-year-olds, like grandpas, but they come in every single day and there's a huge mixture of people and they do it, right? So that community aspect, it's very powerful for people to feel, one, being part of a group, two, doing hard things with other people. There's something really empowering for a lot of people, and that's what people say is the magic of CrossFit. But it's just doing hard things with other people, right? That camaraderie, that group thinking, and it's sorry, those
so many takeaways. Let the puppies talk on the pod. That's the first thing.
Oh yeah, dude.
You don't want Addie on the pod. You don't want Addie. She's too.
I have so many good nuggets in all seriousness here. One, we talk about our support group all the time. You found yours. You found strength in numbers. You found a beautiful wife. You have a great family. She has a great family. You have a CrossFit community. You have everything now that sets you up to be your best. And I think it's often a misconception that your people always have to tell you that you're doing great, that you're doing awesome, comfort you. Sometimes you need to be disciplined, one, and then loved on twice as hard. And having those people in your life that it feels like home, gosh, as that skyrocket to the new heights. And
100%.
I went here is because you've been through everything. You get off the island, you come over, you go through the culture shock, you play in a top 25 program. Now you're here. Tell me your keep going moment.
It's hard to pinpoint one exact moment.
We've heard that before. Yeah.
I'm about to say, if I've had a nickel for every time.
Yeah. But I will say this. Every time I go back to what my parents have done and sacrificed for my sisters and I to be able to do what we do now. And two, this whole journey, just to be here now. That I look back and I'm like, wow, like my mom always says, like, Peter, like you've already lived a full life of someone who's probably 50 or 60 years old and they've never experienced what you have experienced, right? So for me, those experiences in such a short time frame, that's like looking back, I'm grateful that I've went through all of it, all those struggles and transitions and moments and people that I've experienced to be here now.
Well,
That perspective,
shout out the family, dude. Shout out the moms and
Yeah.
dads out there just making it happen for the kids. That, dude, the amount of resources, the amount of time, the amount of love they put into
Yeah.
people, it's amazing.
Yep.
I fully agree. And Pete, I know you got a house to move into. I know you got dogs to tend to. I want to be conscious of your time, but I know our listeners are going to get a lot out of this. Tell me how our listeners can get in touch with you.
My Instagram, you can just message me. If they reach out to you, you can give them my phone number. Shoot me a message. Doesn't matter. Instagram or text, go for it.
Pete, your message and your perspective is so refreshing in my world. And me and Luke, we have not done this in a couple episodes where I publicly call it out, but we've been smiling literally for the last 30 minutes. And we can talk all day about your story. Just know how blessed I am to know you and to be a small part of this and be there at your wedding, celebrating your life, man. I'm so proud of you, man. Thanks for all you do.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Luke,
thanks, Peter.
Yeah, very nice to meet you, Luke. And Pat, just want to give a huge shout out to Pat. He was one of the first people when I came to the States, introduced himself, always been a super respectful person. One of the people that kind of took my hand and showed me the way. And, we ended up playing next to each other 1 year at Elk Grove at third base and shortstop. So Pat has always been one of the first people that, helped me out. And to be honest, like, you wouldn't know how much that means until you really just experience it. But having someone like Pat has, we're, lifetime friends. And I'll never forget, how I started here because of him and
I
other
love you.
people.
I love you, brother. We were the best left side in the conference, and 99% of that was just you, man. This guy could glove it. We could talk all day about baseball. Pete, enjoy the house. Enjoy the beautiful life you have created. And if I can ever help you, if Luke can ever help you, feel free to reach out, okay?
Yeah,
Yeah,
don't
you guys are
hesitate to
welcome.
reach out, Peter.
Perfect. You guys are welcome to come over. We can go skiing during winter. We have great skiing here.
I love that.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
love you like crazy. Have a great rest of your Sunday. We'll be in touch, okay? Keep
Bye,
going.
guys.
Appreciate
See
you. See you, Peter.
Peace.
Bye.
Luke,
Dude, brought the
first
heat.
stop for me.
Brought the absolute heat, dude. Can
Dude,
you
I'm
imagine?
sweating.
Can
I'm
you?
sweating.
Yeah. Can you imagine moving countries to play a sport that's not even that popular in your country? Like, that's just insane to me, dude. That's insane. It's a crazy story of overcoming so many countless difficulties. Super proud of Peter and his life.
100%. I think the big thing is, I've always said this a couple times, that man is just sweet. He's just sweet. Like,
Yeah.
that's it. He comes in, says, we get shit done. I said, I'm ready today. Let's
Come on,
go.
baby. Yeah, fire me up.
Well, hey, fire me up with a quick ad read here.
Before I do that, though, I just want to let the Keep Going people know Pat does not get enough love for the amount of admiration and respect that he shows to other people in his life. I just got to shout out my co-host Pat O'Malley, man. He's been there for me this week. He's always there for his buddies. He's always there for brother and sister and his mom. Dude, Pat, we love you here at KG, and we're super proud of you, buddy.
I love you, brother. The same way for me. Thanks for the kind words.
Yes, sir. On to the ad read, man. CNC and BNC, thank you so much to Homegrown and Design for being a part of this podcast. Shout out CNC for coming on that episode because she absolutely crushed it. We've talked about it in an interview with Jeremy Wolf before. But if you want to support a small business that really cares about mental health, that's one of the places you need to go. We're going to link their bio, their website down in the bio. Make sure to go over there and show Homegrown Design and Apparel some love, guys.
Oh, shout out to Homegrown Design and Apparel. Shout out CNC and BNC. And they got a little one on the way. It's supposed to be here in the next week or so we'll get you guys those updates. But hey, if there's a time to support a small local company, come on. We love to see it. All right.
That fires me up.
Yes, sir. Well, Luke, let's keep moving. We're going to go right into our social media shout out. And this one's going to be a cool one. It's coming out of LA for the Dodgers. Andrew Tolles and the whole Dodgers organization. So let me give you a little prelude here. So Andrew Tolles has not played for the Dodgers in a couple of years now. He went through some battles with mental health, actually got diagnosed with several mental disorders and issues. The Dodgers decided they were going to keep him on as a paid member of the Dodgers so he keeps his insurance and his benefits to keep getting his treatment. From a guy that's a lifelong Cubs fan, Luke is a lifelong Cubs fan, I had to just tip my cap, if you're watching on YouTube, to the Dodgers and just say, what an amazing story. What an amazing human over athlete move. And in a world that if it's not about the money, it's about the money, they've put the money aside and cared about the person. And we need more of that. Shout out the Dodgers. Shout out Andrew Tolles.
Shout out Andrew Tolles. You know, my brother's been a big Dodgers fan his whole life. I'm a Cubs guy. He's a Dodgers guy. It's always been fun not being in the same conference, you know, always kind of ribbing each other here and there, but huge shout out to the Dodgers for that. I think it just goes to show that the conversation is changing now, right? There's some momentum being picked up here. And when it gets to the professional sports level, like you said, Pat, when money's money and we got to make it, we got to make more of it. If we can put that behind and talk about mental health and talk about getting a guy right, that's awesome.
Couldn't agree more. I think it's about the people. It's about the people. It's got to be about the people. Yeah.
That's right.
Luke, transition over. I know you're fired up on the charity shout out of the week. What we got?
Yeah, 100%. So talk about it's about the people. Hope for Athletes. Okay, they're a small charity organization that we want to shout out. They're doing a quick T-shirt giveaway on their Instagram. We'll hit that link in the bio. That's doing a human greater than athlete, right? Human before athlete shirt. Super sick logo, super sick design, and overall, it's the best message that we could preach on this podcast. Always take care of yourself as a person before an athlete.
No doubt. You can't help the person next to you if you're not doing well. So, hey, care about yourself, care about the people. It goes way above the brand. Gosh, that's awesome stuff. Gosh, awesome 100%. Stuff. Shout out to Hope for Athlete as well. Luke, the last thing here, we do have the Ask Luke Wheat mailbag. I want to touch a little bit on that. So I'm going to go ahead and fire away with that question here. Give me 1 second here. Go ahead and read that off to you. All right. How can I find a support group? You know, you guys are always talking about support group. What if I don't have one? How can I find one? What's the best way, Luke?
Again, I'm going to shout out Patrick O'Malley. Okay. This guy takes the initiative, right? He makes APs, accountability partner text group, just starts adding people to it. I think it can be as simple as that. Now, if you don't have an easy fix, if that seems to not be working for you, if you've talked to some of your teammates, if you talk to some of your classmates in school and, you know, it's not really vibing, you can't really find a group that you're fitting in with, there's some online support that we can point you to. One place is the Canadian Mental Health Association that we'll link down in the bio. But they have a lot of great resources on how to tackle this specific challenge. But I think an action step for a lot of people is just starting to be vulnerable with your friends and seeing if they feel the same way as you do.
I agree. I think Zach Jones, shout out his vulnerability last episode, saying that he didn't want to bother his friends that were feeling the same as him, but he found that level of security after several tries with his coach and with his parents. Guys, you might reach out to someone and it might not be your best accountability partner. Like, yeah, had several people in the group chat. We've had several friends, coaches. Not everyone is going to be your person, and that's okay. Just be kind to everyone. Do the best you can to respect everyone. And your people are your people. That's why they're your people.
Yeah, 100%. One of my big people in college was a professor that I had. Dr. Lucas, she was an education professor. She actually just celebrated her retirement from Marable College.
Baby.
Yeah, shout out Becky Lucas, man. So I got to write a little bit something for her to send in for the article that Maryville College was writing about her. And one thing that stood out to me about Becky and Dr. Lucas was she led every conversation with compassion, right? And if you do that, you're going to find like-minded people and you're going to find a group that you can jive with.
I love that. And it goes back to that quote, and I'll wrap us up for today. It's, I might not always be right, but I'm going to love in the attempt.
That's right. That's right, man.
That's it, man. And shout out to your teachers. Shout out everyone that's made this podcast what it is as we get to our Sammy Sosa episode. Luke, I love you, man. And I appreciate your vulnerability. I think it speaks volumes on today's episode. So thank you for being you, brother.
No, I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you having my back this week. It really meant a lot to me.
Always. We got honorarium coming on next week. Super juiced. And above all else, Luke, keep going, my boy.
Keep going, baby.
Sir.